Welcome to our deep dive into economic security.
Yeah.
Today, we're going beyond the surface with Scott Galloway's The Algebra of Wealth. You might be thinking another book about money, but trust me,
Yeah.
this one is different.
Uh-huh.
Galloway doesn't just tell you what to do.
No.
He breaks down the why behind it,
Okay.
offering a refreshing take on building a strong financial future.
It's fascinating how Galloway blends economic principles
Yeah.
with real-world advice.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't just throw jargon around.
Right.
He makes these concepts relatable
Yeah.
and applicable to your everyday life.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So how does Galloway approach this complex topic? He actually boils it down to a simple formula.
Yeah.
Passive income should be greater than your burn rate.
Right.
What do you make of that?
It's brilliant in its simplicity, isn't it?
Yeah.
It cuts through all the noise and highlights the core principle. You need your money working for you, not the other way around.
But let's break it down for our listener. Sure.
Burn rate basically means all the money you spend each month
Yeah.
to maintain your lifestyle, right?
Precisely. And passive income is money that flows in
Okay.
without you actively trading your time for it.
Right.
Think rental income,
Mm-hmm.
dividends from investments, or even royalties from a book you wrote years ago.
So the idea is that once your passive income covers your burn rate,
Mm-hmm.
you've achieved economic security.
Yeah.
You're no longer living paycheck to paycheck. And that opens up a world of possibilities.
Exactly.
But I'm curious, have you ever felt pressured to constantly chase more,
Oh, yeah.
even when you felt like you had enough?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's easy to fall into that trap,
Mm.
especially in today's world where we're bombarded with messages about success and
Yeah.
imperial wealth.
Yeah.
But Galloway's approach really challenges that mindset.
Yeah.
He encourages us to define what enough means to us personally, rather than blindly chasing someone else's definition of success. He tells this great anecdote about a friend who chose a lower-paying job
Yeah.
with a better work-life balance.
Mhm.
In the end, this friend actually achieved economic security earlier than Galloway himself.
Wow.
It seems counterintuitive, but sometimes slowing down
Right.
and prioritizing what truly matters can lead to greater financial success in the long run.
Totally agree.
What do you think?
I completely agree. It reminds us that constantly chasing a bigger paycheck might not be the most fulfilling or effective path to economic security.
Right.
It's about making choices aligned with your values and priorities.
Speaking of choices, Galloway also makes a bold claim. Character is the most crucial ingredient for financial success. What are
Interesting.
your thoughts on that?
Well, at first I thought, isn't this a book about money?
Right.
But the
Right.
more I thought about it, the more it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
You can have all the financial knowledge in the world, but if you lack discipline, integrity, and resilience, it's easy to make impulsive decisions that derail your progress.
Exactly. He even ties this back to Stephen Covey's work,
Right.
contrasting the character ethic with the personality ethic.
Yeah.
It's not about appearances or
Right.
quick fixes. It's about building a strong inner foundation based on principles and good habits.
And he uses a great example from his own life.
Yeah.
His weekly newsletter, No Mercy, No Malice.
Right.
Initially, he saw it as a chore,
Yeah.
but through consistent effort, it became a successful venture.
Yeah.
This really highlights the power of showing up consistently,
Mm-hmm.
even when motivation is low.
Right.
Have you ever had a similar experience
Oh, absolutely.
where sticking with something, even when it felt tough,
Totally.
paid off in the end?
We've all had those moments where you're just like, ugh, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to keep going. And then
Exactly. Building any successful endeavor, whether it's a business, an investment portfolio,
Yeah.
or even just a good savings habit,
Right.
requires that consistent effort. It's about playing the long game
Yeah.
and resisting the temptation to chase quick wins
Right.
or give up at the first sign of difficulty.
Absolutely. And speaking of temptation,
Okay.
Galloway also warns against falling into the hedonic treadmill.
Though what?
What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, what would that?
You know that feeling when you get a raise or a bonus
Yeah.
and you immediately start thinking about all the things you can buy?
Oh, yeah.
It's like your lifestyle expands to match your income, but you never really feel any more satisfied or secure.
It's a vicious cycle.
Right.
And Galloway argues that breaking free from the hedonic treadmill
Yeah.
is essential for achieving true economic security.
Right.
It's about being mindful of your spending habits, resisting the urge to constantly upgrade your lifestyle, and
Right.
defining what truly brings you joy and fulfillment.
Yeah.
So we've talked about passive income, burn rate, and care. Now let's dive into another crucial element.
Okay.
Time.
Yeah.
Galloway has this fascinating take on time, especially when it comes to investing. He famously calls compound interest the
Yeah.
most powerful force in the universe.
I'm sure our listener has heard that before.
Right.
But what do you think it really means? And
Well,
why does it matter so much?
It's like magic.
Yeah.
It's the idea that even small amounts of money invested consistently over time can grow exponentially.
Right.
Galloway uses this fantastic example of a penny
Yeah.
doubling in value every day for a month.
Okay.
Seems insignificant at first, right?
Yeah.
But by the end, you're talking about millions of dollars.
It really highlights the incredible power of starting early
Absolutely.
and letting your investments compound over time.
And speaking of starting early,
Okay.
Galloway shares a pretty humbling story
Yeah.
about a missed opportunity to invest in Coca-Cola stock early in his career.
Interesting. Have you ever had a similar missed opportunity moment?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We all have.
Like, if only I had
Right.
invested in that company.
Yeah.
What could our listener learn from this?
Well, I think Galloway's point is that
Yeah.
we can't dwell on the past.
Right.
The best time to start investing was yesterday, but the second best time is today,
Right.
even if you're starting small.
Yeah.
The key is to start now and let the magic of compounding work its wonders.
I think that's a powerful message for anyone
Yeah.
feeling overwhelmed or discouraged about their financial situation.
Okay.
It's never too late to start
Yeah.
building a secure future.
Right.
But there's also the flip side of the coin, inflation.
Yeah.
What are Galloway's thoughts on that?
So he makes it clear that inflation is a silent wealth killer.
Like a slow leak in your tire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might not notice it at first,
Right.
but over time, it can significantly erode the value of your savings.
He emphasizes the importance of not just saving,
Yeah.
but investing your money in assets.
Hmm.
That can outpace inflation.
They can outrun inflation.
Otherwise, you're essentially losing purchasing power over time.
Exactly.
What kind of investments does he recommend for doing just that?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
Galloway dives into different career paths and investment strategies,
Yeah.
offering a unique perspective on how to build wealth.
All right, so we're going to get into that in the next part.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But before we get into those specifics, let's take a quick pause
Okay.
and hear from our sponsor.
All right.
We'll be back in a moment to explore Galloway's insights
Great.
on choosing the right career path and navigating the world of investments.
Sounds good.
See you in a bit. Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking about how crucial time is when it comes to building economic security. Galloway has some interesting advice on choosing a career path. And it might not be what you expect. He actually advises against entrepreneurship for most people. I have to admit that surprised me. What are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely a controversial stance, especially in today's startup-obsessed culture. But Galloway backs it up with some hard-hitting statistics. He points out the high failure rates of startups and challenges the romanticized view of entrepreneurship that often gets portrayed in the media.
He argues that for most people, the more reliable path to economic security is through developing valuable skills and building a successful career within an established company or industry. What stands out to you from his advice on career strategies?
I found his emphasis on getting to a city really intriguing. He believes that immersing yourself in a dynamic urban environment, surrounding yourself with talented people, and being present in the office can significantly accelerate your career growth.
He actually uses a strong phrase to drive this point home. The most dangerous career advice for anyone under 30 is follow your passion. He argues that passion often comes after you've developed mastery in a particular field. What are your thoughts on that? I can see how that might be controversial for some listeners.
It's definitely a different way of thinking about career development. Galloway suggests focusing on finding something you're good at putting in the hard work to become exceptional at it, and the passion will naturally follow. He also has a great anecdote about Mike Bloomberg, who would always have dinner with friends who had recently been fired, emphasizing the importance of loyalty to people, not companies. What do you think about that advice?
I think there's a lot of wisdom in that it's about building genuine relationships and being there for people when they need it most, which can pay dividends in unexpected ways throughout your career. Galloway also encourages people to be open to diagonal opportunities, meaning career moves that might not fit the traditional linear path, What does that look like in practice?
It's about being flexible, adaptable, and recognizing that the most fulfilling and lucrative career paths aren't always straight lines. Sometimes the most interesting opportunities come from stepping outside of your comfort zone and exploring new areas that leverage your existing skills in unexpected ways. He also stresses the importance of not overlooking the Main Street economy. What does he mean by that?
He reminds us that not everyone is cut out for the corporate world or the high-stakes startup scene. There's a lot of opportunity in building a successful local business, serving your community, and becoming an integral part of the fabric of your town or city. So we've covered a lot of ground on career strategies. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty of personal finance. What are some of Galloway's key takeaways for budgeting and saving?
He advocates for a simple yet effective three-bucket approach to budgeting. The first bucket is your short-term savings like an emergency fund to cover unexpected expenses. The second bucket is for intermediate goals, like saving for a down payment on a house or a big vacation. And the third bucket is for long-term savings, primarily retirement.
It sounds like a practical framework for organizing your finances and ensuring that you're allocating your money strategically. He also introduces this concept of a waterline budget. Can you explain that for our listener?
It's a powerful exercise where you calculate the absolute minimum you need to spend each month to cover your basic needs, housing, food, transportation, utilities. This waterline represents your essential expenses and helps you create a solid foundation for your budget.
And Galloway, being Galloway, shares a pretty extreme example of budgeting from his own life. He talks about living off top ramen and bananas for weeks in college just to save money.
He even blames his excessive Sizzler salad bar consumption for their eventual bankruptcy. I guess you could say he took budgeting to a whole new level. But beyond extreme measures, what are some actionable tips he provides for everyday budgeting?
He's a big believer in tracking your spending. You can use apps, spreadsheets, or even just a pen and paper. The key is to become aware of where your money is going and identify areas where you might be overspending.
He even mentions the Hawthorne effect, which suggests that simply being observed can change our behavior. In this case, just tracking your spending can make you more mindful of your financial choices. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a powerful tool. It's about shining a light on your spending habits and becoming more intentional with your money. And once you've got a handle on your spending, Galloway stresses the importance of automating your savings. Why is that so important?
Automating your savings takes the effort and decision-making out of the equation. You can set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings account each month, so you're consistently paying yourself first. He also reminds us to always max out any employer 401k matches. This is the thinking behind that.
It's free money. It's essentially a guaranteed return on your investment, so it's crucial to take advantage of it. Okay, so we've covered budgeting and saving now. Let's dive into the exciting world of investing. What are some of Galloway's key insights on investing?
He starts by addressing the fundamental relationship between risk and return. He uses a simple coin toss example to illustrate the point that higher potential returns usually come with higher risk. It's a great analogy that highlights the inherent trade-offs in investing.
He also emphasizes the importance of diversification.
Mm-hmm.
Remember the story about him losing 70% of his net worth in the red envelope bankruptcy? It was a painful lesson in overconcentration, putting all your eggs in one basket. What can our listener learn from this?
It highlights the importance of spreading your investments across different asset classes, industries, and geographic regions. Diversification helps to mitigate risk and protect your portfolio from the inevitable ups and downs of the market.
He covers a wide range of asset classes, including stocks, bonds, real estate, and even more exotic investments like commodities and currencies. What are his thoughts on each of these asset classes?
He explains the characteristics of each asset class, the potential risks and rewards, and how they can fit into a diversified portfolio.
And he introduces the concept of index funds and ETFs, which are great tools for passive diversified investing. What makes these investment vehicles so appealing?
They allow you to invest in a basket of stocks or bonds that track a particular market index, providing broad market exposure with low fees and minimal effort.
He also acknowledges that active investing, picking individual stocks, or trying to time the market can be tempting, but cautions that it's incredibly difficult to consistently beat the market over the long term.
He even suggests setting aside a small portion of your portfolio to play the market, experiment with different strategies, and learn by doing. But for the majority of your investments, he advocates for a passive, long-term approach focused on diversification and low-cost index funds. What's your take on that?
I think it's sound advice, especially for beginner investors. Active investing can be incredibly time-consuming and emotionally draining, and the odds of consistently outperforming the market are slim. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Galloway dives into the often overlooked world of taxes. Why does he dedicate so much attention to taxes?
He argues that understanding the tax implications of your financial decisions is crucial. He emphasizes that taxes can significantly impact your investment returns, and that being strategic about tax planning can save you a lot of money in the long run.
He breaks down the different types of income, like earned income, capital gains, and dividends, and explains how they're taxed at different rates. He also highlights the benefits of tax-advantaged accounts like IRAs and 401ks, which allow you to grow your investments tax-deferred or even tax-free in some cases. What other tax-saving strategies does he suggest?
He emphasizes the importance of timing your income and deductions strategically. For example, if you know you're going to be in a higher tax bracket in a particular year,
Yeah.
you might want to defer some income or accelerate some deductions to minimize your tax liability.
He also gets into the difference between effective and marginal tax rates, which can be a bit confusing. What are the key takeaways from this discussion?
It's important to understand that your marginal tax rate is the rate you pay on your last dollar of income, while your effective tax rate is the overall percentage of your income that goes to taxes. This distinction is crucial because it helps you make informed decisions about how to structure your finances and investments to minimize your overall tax burden.
Galloway even makes a pretty bold statement. He says that American citizens have a dual obligation to their country and their family to pay the minimum legal amount of taxes. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a provocative statement, but I think his point is that we should all be informed about the tax code and take advantage of legal strategies to reduce our tax liability. It's not about evading taxes. It's about being smart and strategic with our finances.
He even compares it to a prisoner of war's obligation to try to escape. It definitely adds a bit of drama to the conversation about taxes. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground. Then we talked about time, career strategies, budgeting, saving, investing, and even taxes. But there's one more crucial element that we need to explore: the emotional side of money. How does Galloway address this often overlooked aspect of personal finance?
He dedicates a significant portion of the book to the psychological and emotional factors that influence our financial decisions.
Yeah.
He argues that understanding our own biases, fears, and motivations is crucial for developing healthy financial habits and achieving our goals. And that's what we'll get into in the next part.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. Welcome back to our deep dive into Scott Galloway's The Algebra of Wealth. We've covered a lot of ground from personal finance to the larger economic landscape, but as promised, we're circling back to something incredibly important: the emotional side of money. It's something we don't always acknowledge when talking about finances.
It's true. We often try to approach money with a purely rational mindset,
Yeah.
but the reality is our relationship with it is deeply emotional.
Galloway captures this perfectly when he says, money is more often a reflection of our values and emotional maturity than it is a measure of our intelligence. That really struck a chord with me. What are your thoughts on that?
I think he's spot on. Our financial decisions aren't always based on logic and spreadsheets. They're often influenced by our upbringing, our experiences, and even our fears and insecurities.
He dives into some of the psychological tracks we can fall into, like the sunk cost fallacy, holding on to a bad investment just because we've already poured so much time or money into it. Have you ever experienced that?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's hard to admit defeat,
Yeah.
even when the evidence is staring you in the face.
Right, and then there's the fear of missing out, which can drive impulsive decisions, especially when everyone around you seems to be getting rich quick.
Oh, totally.
Galloway encourages us to be more self-aware about these emotional responses to money and to develop strategies for managing those impulses. What are some of the ways we can do that?
Well, having a clear financial plan is key not just for practical reasons, but also for peace of mind.
Mm.
It can help you feel more grounded and in control, even when the markets are volatile or unexpected expenses pop up.
I love how Galloway reminds us that money is just a tool. It's a means to an end, not the end itself.
He puts it beautifully when he says, economic security isn't about accumulating possessions. It's about having choices and the freedom to focus on what truly matters.
And he shares a really powerful story about caring for his mother during her final days. Economic security gave him the flexibility to be there for her without the added burden of financial worry.
It highlights how financial stability can provide a sense of freedom and peace of mind, allowing you to focus on what truly matters in life, like spending precious time with loved ones.
Speaking of making a difference, Galloway also challenges us to think about our legacy, not just what we accumulate, but what we contribute to the world. It's not something you typically find in a personal finance book.
He's right. It's about moving beyond just personal gain and considering how we can use our resources to make a positive impact on our communities and the world around us, whether that's through philanthropy, volunteering our time, or simply being more mindful of our consumption habits.
And what I appreciate about Galloway is that while he's achieved a lot of success, he's very open about his own struggles and mistakes along the way. It makes his advice feel more authentic and relatable.
He's not afraid to admit he's made bad investments and learned some tough lessons. It reminds us that everyone makes mistakes, even successful entrepreneurs and investors. What matters is learning from those experiences and continuing to grow.
Well, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the algebra of wealth. It's been a fascinating journey through the world of personal finance, economics, and even the psychology of money. I'm curious, what were some of your key takeaways?
For me, it was that reminder that economic security is achievable for anyone willing to put in the effort and make smart choices consistently. It's not about getting rich quick. It's about building a solid foundation for a fulfilling and meaningful life.
I completely agree, and I loved how Galloway emphasized the emotional side of money. We need to be aware of our biases, manage our impulses, and remember that money is simply a tool to help us live our best lives.
And that final point about legacy was truly inspiring. It's a powerful reminder that our impact on the world extends far beyond our own lifetimes.
As we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought. Now that you have a better understanding of the path to economic security, what one small step can you take today to move in the right direction?
Maybe it's setting a financial goal, creating a budget, or having an honest conversation with your partner about money.
Or perhaps it's finally investing in that index fund you've been researching or picking up the phone to schedule a meeting with a financial advisor.
Whatever it is, take that step and keep the momentum going.
Remember, economic security and a life filled with purpose and meaning are within your reach.
We believe in you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for a brighter financial future.